There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, if you want.
1, 2, 3, set, go.
Hello, and thank you much for tuning in to episode 107 of the Power Chord Hour podcast. As always, I'm your host, Anthony Merchant, here with you with the May 2022 rundown of the show. Hope you are doing great out there, and apologies, I know it's a day late. I almost did it yesterday, but goddamn, it was Memorial Day. I was like, no, I don't need to do it today. I'll do it tomorrow. It's a holiday. You didn't need to listen to me tomorrow or yesterday, and So I'm doing this today instead on a beautiful Tuesday. It is absolutely gorgeous out. I got done not too long ago, but I must say I was listening to some music while I was out there and kind of going back and forth. I don't know if anyone else does that, but like there's certain times where I know everything I want to listen to. Like I'm almost like there's almost a DJ set going on in my head where it's almost like I'm doing the radio show where like I'll start with the song, and then, like, as that song's playing, I go, okay, I know I want to listen to this. Then I want to listen to this. I want to listen, I'll jump from bands. I'll jump from genres. I go, oh, this song's going to sound good after this one. And in a way, maybe I am making the playlist for the radio show, and I just don't realize it, but I'm doing that. And then there's other times where I can't figure out what I want to listen to. Like, even, like, my favorite bands, I'll put them on, and, like, I'll put a song or two on, and I'm like, I don't know what I want to listen to, but I don't feel like listening to this right now. So it's like jumping around a little, and I did end up putting a few podcasts on, which I don't listen to that many podcasts. I do so many of them that, like, I don't know. I don't really want to listen to them by the time I'm done. I mean, I do this on top of working in radio, so it's like just non-stop. And I'll get into it, which I mean is very rad, but I gotta say this month here, May, which we're running down the May 2022 rundown here, but I did probably the most interviews I've ever done in my life, because I was doing interviews for like 3 different shows, and we had tons on here, but like I have interviews that you have not heard yet that go right through the month of June. I mean, we have interviews I did like a month ago, and I almost feel bad because I teased some of them, and but it's like another month until they come out. I think it was kind of that way with like the Jughead interviews, still one of my favorite ones. But when I interviewed him earlier this year, I interviewed him in like early February, and then it came out in like early March, so it was like a month later. But just sometimes it happens that way, which again, it's not a bad thing, because I've also had dry spells on here where I don't have guests for a couple weeks. I just don't have anything lined up or whatever. I get too busy to. And, so it doesn't always happen. So it's not a bad thing to have them that way. But yeah, I have so many guests lately, and you've not even heard half of them yet. So I'm actually pretty stoked about that, though. Again, I don't particularly think that's a bad thing. But anyway, I decided to turn on a couple podcasts, some music ones, and I was listening, and I gotta say, like, I won't name names. I listened to a couple podcasts, but I mean, goddamn, it's something that I definitely did for, I don't know when I finally stopped, and it's probably a lot more recent than I'd like to admit, but like the long intros on podcasts that have like guests on them, doing interviews and stuff is just wild to me. Like, it's just like look at this. I do this monthly rundown, and if you listen to the podcast, you know what it is. It's just me bullshitting for however long I go. And that is exactly what this is supposed to be. The monthly rundown is that. I've had like a guest on here once, like 2 years ago, I think we had a guest on. And, so it's just me doing that. But like, as far as these really just long intros that go on forever until they get to the interview. And then on top of that, I mean, if you have any sponsors or anything, if you have an intro, like there's just all these things where like, holy shit, like we're 30 minutes in before we get to the interview. And again, I realize I've definitely done it, but at some point I realized I'm like, oh yeah, like I don't, talk at the end. If you want, if you want to talk for 3 hours after the interview, I think that's totally cool, because if people want to keep listening, they keep listening. If they want to say fuck off, they can fuck off. You know what I mean? They can tune you out. They can go, I ain't listening to another 3 hours of you. I listened to that interview. Thank you. I'm done. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't have some kind of idea. I mean, next month you've not heard it yet, but one of those interviews that, I did a while back, And, just because I had things that were coming out like during release dates and stuff, but I got to interview John Doe. I mean, my God, like I'm smiling just saying that, like John fucking Doe of X. I got to interview that man. He is a legend, like, and was so, let me tell you that, I know I'm getting sidetracked. That guy was so fucking cool. I just want you all to know that. You haven't even heard the interview yet, but I just want to sidetrack from what I'm saying to let you all know, because we all think John Doe seems cool, right? Like John Doe is who I want to be when I'm his age. He's like 60 something, and when I am John Doe's age, I still want to be that cool, because I think John Doe has stayed cool his entire life. Like I look at John Doe now and I go, that guy is so fucking cool. Like he's just always, there's just something about him. The personality, the talent, like just the charm, the wit. I don't know. Everything about him is amazing. But let me also tell you what an amazing human being. I got to talk to him for an hour. And I mean, we could have kept going. I felt at some point, at the end, I was like, I started cutting it off because I'm like, I mean, I don't want him to have to do it. I'm like, I took an hour of this man's time. It's like, I should probably let him go. But I mean, I could have talked to him forever. But anyways, that'll be coming out soon. But what I was talking about, and sorry, I just want to tell you, John Doe is as cool as he seems. That's what I want to tell you, is John Doe is as cool, if not cooler, than how he seems. And my God, that was another honor. You can put that on the list of like total honors of people to interview. John Doe definitely on that. But anyway, what I'm saying is, when I have John Doe on, I'm sure there's going to be people who check out the show because, hey, John Doe's on. But like, I don't have this idea in my head that those people want to hear me talk by myself for 30 minutes before I get into the interview. And I mean, I learned that probably somewhere along the way, because I've definitely done it. You can listen to old interviews, but I was just listening to some podcasts. Again, I won't name names, and a few of them are even, I would say, my podcasting peers. I guess it would probably be that, because we're kind of in the same realms. But it's like, holy shit! It's like 30 minutes before they get to an interview. It's like, my God, like. Again, and I try to keep my outro short too, but it's like just bullshit at the end. Like, it's your outro. Like, if people want to listen to you, if they listen every week and are a fan of what you do, maybe they'll listen to the whole thing. But like, if someone just wants to tune in and like listen to me talk to John Doe, I'm not going to make them suffer through 30 minutes of my bullshit before I get to that. I'll do that after. If they're into it, they'll keep listening. But, I kind of be interested in that though, because obviously if you're listening to this, you're a podcast listener. So listen, not podcast at gmail.com, powerchordhour@gmail.com. Hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com. And I'd really like to know this. Like, seriously, I'd really like to know, as a podcast listener, I mean, intros, how do you feel about them? I mean, are you good with some kind of intro? You know what I mean? Like, and even I am. I now just jump pretty much into the interviews most of the time. I don't really do much of an intro in the beginning. I mean, if we have a sponsor for an episode, I'll jump on and, thank the sponsor and stuff. But for the most part, I just jump into the interview. But I mean, do you like when you just jump into the interviews? Do you like a 5-minute intro? Do you like a 30-minute intro? Like, am I totally wrong? Like, am I the asshole here to think that those are ridiculous? Like, let me know, powerchordhour@gmail.com. I would be very interested in that by, other people who listen to music podcasts, and probably also listen to some of the shows that I'm thinking of and we're listening to today that I thought had way too fucking long of intros. It was just like, come on, man, like, I'm here to listen to the interview you're doing, like, not you bullshit for 30 minutes. Do that after. That's the after, like, when we're all done and we're like, decompressing and chilling out and everything's kind of winding down. That's when, you kind of bullshit a little. But or do this, that's the other thing, is like, do the monthly rundown. It's like, I don't need to like bullshit to people for 30 minutes before the interview, because I do it at the end of the month. And if people want to listen to that, hey, you can listen to it, but you also don't have to listen to me just bullshit into a mic for an hour, But you can still listen to those interviews. So I don't know. That's my, what I'm saying is, I listened to podcasts today and I was not happy with the intros that I had to hear. There were some good interviews I heard. It would have been nicer if I got to hear them a little sooner though than they got to them. But I guess let's talk about some. I mean, again, like I mentioned, I did so many interviews this month just for the Power Chord Hour, for Arts on Fire that I do on 107.9 WRFA. Local Rush Hour, we had an interview or two, which I don't always do interviews on there, but I will if actually I run out of time on Arts on Fire to do interviews. Sometimes I'll put them on the Local Rush Hour. So I did them for all three this month, and some really fun ones. But I mean, as far as the Power Chord Hour goes, like I told you, John Doe, and that will be coming out. I'm looking up at a calendar. If you listen to the podcast, next week, the 13th. Or no, I'm sorry. I forgot what day it was. Sorry, I'm fucking up this calendar. The 6th. So June 6th, mark that on your calendar. Maybe it's already passed, depending on where you listen to this. But John Doe of the Mighty X is on this show, and my God, was it fun. I mean, if you listen to these, actually, I was talking about John Doe's new record, Fables in a Foreign Land, maybe a month or two ago when it got announced and his tour and everything. I talked about that in the news, and actually I think I played, I played Never Coming Back on here. I'm almost certain I played that. You'd think I'd remember, but I played it like 2 months ago or whatever on this show. And we got to talk all about, well, the rad thing was we talked about his new solo record, or really, it's the John Doe Trio, and he has a great, I can't remember their names, a great upright bass player and a great drummer that he's playing with. And I mean, the record, if you've not heard it yet, it came out on May 20th on Fat Possum Records, the same one that put out X's Alphabet Land, and holy shit is it good. I mean, like, it was hard for me to not just kiss his ass the entire time, because, like, John Doe is always good, but, like, between the last X record and this new record, I mean, he's writing some of the best music of his career. And again, he's like in his late 60s, I believe. Like, I don't remember his exact age, but he's been doing this for a while. And like, just now, I feel like he's hitting strides of like, my God, like just reminding you why he is regarded, and revered so much as just such a, an amazing songwriter, and just, like a punk icon. But that new record, so good. But on top of that, which was nice, was he was totally game to talk X, so we talked a lot of Alphabet Land too, because I actually wanted to interview him when Alphabet Land came out, and never got the chance to. So it was kind of nice. It was like a redeeming in a way of like kind of getting to do both, kind of doing an interview of both, because we talked a good amount about Alphabet Land. Actually, there is if you're a fan of that record, which you're idiot if you're not. That was just kind of mean. I apologize for that, but I don't know how you don't like that record. That record's so good. It's truly like one of the best X records. Again, I've said it a million times on here. I mean, truly have. And but yeah, it's just as good as those first 4 X records. I mean, which are the best X records, obviously. But I mean, just talking to him, everything, he was so great. And I also he did say very early stages of a new X album, so that makes me happy, because I've heard him kind of say both. Not that they would never do another record, but I think for a while his thing was more of, if we get to one, we will do it, but if not, this is a good record to go out on. Which he's entirely right about that. He's not wrong at all. I mean, I totally agree with him on that. But I also think, including listening to Fables in a Foreign Land, which actually, one of the best songs on the album, co-written by Exene and Shirley Manson of Garbage, and Destroying Angels, which he put a music video out for, and it's a single now. It's the latest one for the album, but it is that one, and probably track 2, Down South. That is also, those are probably my 2 favorite songs, but the entire album is so damn good. But yeah, that song that he co-wrote with Exene and Shirley Manson was amazing. It's so funny too, because he was talking about it, because it's quite a dark song. It's lyrically a very, very dark song. It tells a great story, but it's very dark. And he's like, that was Shirley Manson's idea. He's like, she's the one who's like, I want to write a murderous folk song, like a song about like brutal murders. And he's like, all right. And my God, they wrote the best folk song about brutal murders that I think I've ever heard. I absolutely love it. But that whole record, so good. And I mean, to talk to John for an hour was like, my God. I mean, if you listen to this show, you've heard me gush over X. And even almost in real time become a fan of X, because I back in 2020 was when I really really got into them. Like, I was aware of X, and I knew some songs and stuff, but after watching The Decline of Western Civilization and listening to them more, I just got really into them, and dwelling more into their catalog and everything, and just finding out what a genius John Doe is. As well as the rest of X. But yeah, ungodly, so goddamn cool. I can't say that enough. I got to talk to John Doe. I mean, it was like, I just got off the phone and it's just like, holy fuck, like, I just talked to John Doe. And the fact that, again, like, so nice, never, and again, like, it was an hour. He probably would have kept, like, it's not like he was like, hey, I gotta go or anything. It's like, I was just like, I don't want to keep him. I don't know if he's busy. Like, I'm not, I don't want him to have to be like, oh, because you don't want that either. You don't want him to have to be like, hey, I gotta leave. But and I did take the liberty though to tell him, so you can all thank me if this tour happens, but I interviewed him like the day before that show they were playing in California. It was X, the Bouncing Souls, the Last Gang, and Strike Anywhere. I mean, what an unreal lineup. And I told him he has to make that a tour. I'm like, you need to make that shit a tour. I think I said it after. I don't know if I said it during the interview. It might have been after the mics were off. But I did indeed tell him that he needs to make that shit a tour, because he really does. I mean, that's a lineup. I mean, I am so jealous of Southern California and anyone who got to go there and see X, the Bouncing Souls, the Last Gang, and Strike Anywhere. I mean, that is such a great lineup. And then like all the great punk bands throughout the years too, you know what I mean? Like that's all like different generations of just great punk bands. I would love to see that. But yeah, I got to talk to him. I think he was there a day early. I think he was playing, because it was like the day before they did like a run of shows in California, X did. But and I'm really sad. I wanted to go see, I think I got to work actually, because John Doe is coming up here near Jamestown. He's playing up in Cleveland this month on, I believe it's the 21st, but I found out I have to work, sadly, so I won't be making it to that. Hopefully I can go see X. He's coming back the next month. X and the Psychedelic Furs are touring this summer, and that looks like a really good tour, and they're playing Cleveland the following month in July, so hopefully I can make it to that one at least. I really wanted, to be honest, though, I mean, trust me, I've never seen X, and I really want to go see them. But which is another one I talked about not long ago when I was shamed at Amoeba Records in San Francisco because I never saw X before, and I bought a shit ton of X records there. And the girl who was cashing me out, she's like, "How have you never seen X? Like, how the fuck have you never seen X?" And I mean, she's not wrong. It wasn't wrong of her, but I was just like, I don't even know. Like, I got no good excuse. But I've never seen X live, but fuck, I've talked to John Doe for an hour, and I think that means something. But I would love to go see X live with the Psychedelic Furs, but I am bummed I can't go see the John Doe Trio, because I'm telling you, I love this record. Like, I was into, it wasn't out yet before I talked to him, and then I got an advance to rub that in. I got to hear the record a little early, but the singles that came out before I heard the whole record, even before I knew I was going to interview him, I loved it. I mean, John Doe can do no wrong. So you'll be hearing that again. That'll be next week on here. And another really good one, actually, I think I talked to him May 1st. I literally talked to him first day of May, and I'm almost wondering if I talked about this. I can't remember exactly when I did the April rundown, if it was like the same day, and I'm almost wondering if it did. So my apologies if I talked about interviewing Tony Scalzo on the last one. But Tony Scalzo of the band Fastball, I interviewed him, and the band just put out, well, funny enough, they just put out a new EP called Soundtrack, but they're also working on a new record, and that's coming out this month. That comes out in like a couple weeks. So talk about, again, like the, doing these interviews and then having to like bank them away just because I have so many people on. It's been so long that they got a new record. But I was talking to them right as they were going into studio and start recording, and they put up videos and stuff now, and my God, the studio, he was describing and stuff to me. It was like this amazing compound, I think in like El Paso, maybe. I almost want to say Taking Back Sunday recorded their self-titled record there, and I could be totally wrong, but I started looking it up though too, and it's like a famous studio. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but like, it's a nice, like, they're in a nice fucking studio. Like, this is a place you want to record if you're in a band. Like, it is definitely, and he sounded pretty stoked to be going to record there when I talked to him. But Tony Scalzo, Fastball, got to talk to him for an hour as well. He was really, really rad. He honestly, like, I mean, I thought he was going to be cool to begin with. Like, I had wanted to interview someone from Fastball ever since I became a fan of them, actually 5 years ago. I mean, I always knew the songs. I always liked the singles, but like, I saw them open for Everclear in 2017. And when I saw them live, I was like, oh shit, like, they're just a really good, like, rock band, like kind of power pop, garage rock. Like, you can tell they love Big Star and the Replacements and stuff, and really fall in love with them. And I've wanted to interview them for a long time because I think they're a band who, with a lot of interviews, because they've had those hits and stuff, people will ask them a lot of like 90s questions or this and that, and it's like, I'm like, No, I want to know about, like, I don't need to know about stuff everyone asks you. It's like, I want to know about, like, Big Star and the replacements, this and that. And, like, I didn't know either Tony came up in, like, the punk scene in Los Angeles when it was, like, in the 70s, like, the late 70s, early 80s. He was a part of that whole scene. Like, actually, John Doe, I mean, he talked about seeing X and stuff. And, seeing all those bands the first time around, like when they, really just when it was all happening, it was crazy. I never knew because Fastball is an Austin band, and I didn't know Tony lived in Los Angeles and then moved to Austin in the 90s at some point. And then, Fastball happened. I think he said one of the other dudes in Fastball too. It might be Miles, either Miles or I'm blanking on their drummer's name. Damn it. I cannot think of his name off the top of I cannot think of it right now. But it was either, actually, their drummer I think is an Austin native. I think Miles isn't. Tony and Miles both weren't originally, I think, from Austin. Miles maybe was from Texas, but I don't know. No, I'm sorry. I think Miles was also from the Los Angeles scene. Again, I might be butchering this, but this was over, or not over. Actually, funny enough, it was almost a month ago, because it's May 31st right now, and I talked to him on May 1st. But in that time, I've done so many interviews, my brain has turned to mush, and I cannot remember. But anyways, I think the other singer of Fastball might have also been a part of that punk scene. But again, I could be totally wrong. But Tony was, and it was really cool to hear that. I actually would have liked to talk to him. We talked about it a little, but like, we're not even a little, like, we talked about a decent amount, but never too in detail. Like, I would have liked to get into more of that, like, about shows that he saw, specific bands. Like, he would name off bands that he saw, but we didn't get more into, like, because we just had so much talk about that, we started jumping around into other things and stuff. But it was also interesting, too, to talk to someone who, like, he worked in record stores in, like, the 80s, and we were talking about, like, Big Star, and how just, how some bands really do blow up later. I mean, Jawbreaker is kind of one of the more modern day ones now, but, like, Big Star is one of them where it's like Big Star is pretty damn big now. They're not huge mainstream, but you hear them in things. You've heard them on soundtracks. They've been covered by significant people. Their name gets dropped. Like, they may not be, like, again, they're not household names, but they're also not so much the obscure band that they once were. But, like, talking to him, he's like, oh yeah, like, no one gave a shit about Big Star in the 80s. He's like, I worked at record stores. Like, those were, like, cutout bands. Those were bands that were, like, in the clearance section, and only, like, he was like, I think he called them hipsters. He said only hipsters, like, and himself. I mean, he also, like he said, I mean, if you hear Fastball, I mean, they're very much influenced by Big Star. But he's like, yeah, like, you had people who would, like, crate diggers. You would only have people who really, really love music and went through, like, the record store cutout bin, who were really into those bands. But it's like, again, it's interesting where, like, what time does for certain bands, how, like, they're not big at the time and it happens so much later. I mean, again, like, Jawbreaker keeps coming to mind just because they do. They just got off that Dear You tour, and you look how big that was, and it's like, look at the tour they did for Dear You back in the day was definitely not that size. Those tickets, and I will tell you, because I ended up not getting to go, but I spent like $70 to go see them in Detroit, which I still have not gotten my money back, which is bullshit. But anyway, they they definitely were not selling tickets for $70. They were definitely not playing these places and all that. But it's the same like with Big Star. You forget that at times until you talk to someone who were there back in the day. Same with like someone who like saw you'll find those people. I actually met a dude in Portland when I saw Jawbreaker in 2018, and he had seen them. Holy shit, he saw them everywhere. Gilman Street was the one big one where I was like, oh my god. And he saw a couple other. I forget them now, but he had some good shows he saw at Gilman way back in the day. But that was another one we was talking about all the time. Saw Jawbreaker, and they were in way smaller places than the theater we were seeing them at that night. But Big Star was like another one that was like that. But it was interesting to talk about all that with him. Like, he was very like on top of Fastball and his own music, like just really getting into things. And also, like, I liked him because he was also kind of like he was pretty honest and open about like what he wanted to do with the band, like all three of them, like what the band really is kind of setting out to do, and they're kind of looking at it almost like they're a new band, treating it another way. and like, because like, hey, we also, we love the fans we have, but we also want to try to, reach out to some that maybe either people who maybe haven't listened past the hits or who don't know us yet, maybe be exposed to new crowds and audiences and stuff. And I mean, just treating the band differently than maybe they have in the past, and just treating it like a new band as well. And I don't know, he's very just open and honest about things. I thought was very cool. Like he was another one. I could have talked to him for hours as well. I mean, just another one where it's like I could have just talked his ear off forever. He was really, really fun to talk to. But that one will be coming out the week after. That one will be, John Doe will be on June 6th, and then June 13th will be Tony Scalzo from Fastball. And I'm really looking forward to getting that one out there because, again, it's been in the can for so long, and, it was taking forever. And I got to talk to my buddy Dylan Flynn. He came back. That one did come out. And I gave Dylan dibs on that week long earlier because we were setting up for a while, and I was like, dude, like this week, like this will be your week, like second week of May, I think we aired, and I'm like, that's your week, dude. So we did it then. So you've probably heard that one. If you've not yet, go check that out. First time Dylan has been on in 5 years. He was one of the first guests. I think I did my math right, I believe, and sixth guest I ever had on the show. And was a really, really cool guy. Met him at the Menzingers show in Cleveland. I mean, I talked about all this in that episode. But it was really fun to get to catch up with him and talk to him. And also do like a long form one. Because when I talked to him the first time, it was like a 15-minute interview. But also me and him talked for like 2 hours. Like, just off the air. So it was nice to instead this time kind of have more of the conversation. Maybe a little more formatted than candid, but also formatted more than, because you bullshit with people when the mics are off. It's like it goes everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it's like you'll talk about music and shit, but you just talk about everything. It's like then you don't have to worry about so much about getting sidetracked and stuff. So we talk about whatever. But was definitely more like more like an experience of just hearing us talk to each other off air than on the first one, which I also threw that up. I did put the throwback episode up from our first episode 5 years ago, and that one we had to is just right to the point, like what's up, like what's past the base, what's this, what's that, what do you do, I mean it was fun, don't get me wrong. It was like 15 minutes versus an hour and a half, so obviously we got into a lot more this time, which was just really fun. He was a great dude to have back, and I can't believe it took that long. But just that it was 5 years in between. I don't even think I'd thought of it. It's just one of those things too. You do the show long enough, it's like you start having repeats and people coming back. Like I had Jamie Wolford, another guest we had on in May, and from the Stereo, talk about the new Stereo record. And this time he brought Rory Phillips with, and that was another really, really fun one. I had such a good time talking to them. And that was so much fun, because I had fun with Jamie the first time. That was one of my favorite interviews of last year. But him and Rory was because I don't know. I think for artists, probably in a lot of ways, it also does. I would imagine. I guess I've never asked anyone who's come on, as like a duo or whatever, but like it probably does relax you in a way where you have someone to jump off of, and you can kind of, you talk about stories that have happened and this and that, or hey, if you vaguely remember something, you kind of jump on, the other person can jump in and kind of add to it and stuff, all those kinds of things. And it was just really fun to have both of them there and to get into everything. I've been listening to 13, the new Stereo record, like nonstop. It is so good. That I was listening to today on my hike. I did listen to that record is unreal. And what I love about it too is it is the Stereo, but it's also not this rehash. Like I would definitely say, like I know they call it like a spiritual sequel to 300, and in many ways it is, but at the same time it's also its own thing. There's definitely things on there that they probably wouldn't even done as musicians and songwriters 20 something years ago. I think that they've progressed at and stuff, and that whole record just sounds so, and it sounds good too. I mean, Jamie is an amazing producer. I mean, that guy deserves more accolades, not just, I mean, for his songwriting stuff too, but like also what he can do behind a board. I mean, his production skills, his recording skills, like it's just meticulous. Like he really, really knows what he's doing. He makes everything sound like so huge. It is great. I love it, because some bands, again, like I've said it on here and I do mean it. It's like sometimes bands self-produce, and it's just, I think it's a disaster, because what that means is you really don't have a producer. I mean, unless there's a person in your band who is willing to play the producer role, who is willing to like work with everyone and go, hey, and which you're talking to your bandmates, but you have to talk to them like a producer. Go, hey, like you should do this on the bass instead of that, or, I think you should play this guitar part like this and stuff. So, I mean, if you're doing true producing, I think that's which is something that I think Jamie does. And it's like, I think some bands are like, oh, we're self-producing this one. You're really just recording it yourselves. Like no one's really producing it. You're not really getting outside, influence or anything like that. You don't know, even the recording techniques and shit, your stuff might be limited. It's like, so sometimes I'm weary of it, but not with Jamie. I mean, that dude obviously knows what he's doing. So like, him producing it. Plus he's produced, I believe, all the stereo records. He's been in that role the entire time. And actually, going off of that too, an interview you've not heard, and an interview that I just did last Saturday, but and actually talking about, funny enough, a returning guest but bringing another bandmate, just like this time Jamie bringing Rory. I had talked to Joe Rio of Hidden in Plain View, and this time he brought Rob Freeman with him, which was really rad getting to talk to both of them. I met both of those were the two members. I met two members of Hidden in Plain View when I saw them at Skate and Surf 2014, and it was Joe and Rob. So it was really fun talking to them. They were so much fun. And I got to tell you, I knew Rob Freeman, honestly, or, actually, I think pretty well known for like production and recording and stuff too. I think most people who know Rob Freeman and know of him know that he's also, besides Hidden in Plain View, a producer and everything. But like what I didn't realize was I kind of assumed that he kind of got into that maybe like after Hidden in Plain View, and like just kept doing it and stuff and working on it, but like he had always been into it, and I never knew that. Like I didn't realize he had been kind of like with Jamie, like in that producer role the whole time. Like he in some capacity he was whether or not they had producers on albums, some of the early stuff he recorded himself and all that. Like they what was it? Was it Operation Cutthroat? I think it was Operation Cutthroat that they watch. This is another one that you'll go listen to that episode, and I'm totally wrong. It's either that one or the very first one, the Find EP before that. One of them recorded in Rob's parents' basement. Like, I mean, that dude just did like, and I never realized that. Like, I knew he recorded and stuff. I knew he recorded their new singles and everything. And I'm pretty sure he did it on the Animal EP a few years back and everything. But yeah, I didn't realize like the whole time he was on that side. And he was like telling me too, he was like, he was always into production and recording and all that. And it was almost more than being in a band. He was almost like, you almost just have to do that part. It was very funny because to see someone come from that way, because a lot of times you talk to people and it's like, how do you get into that? And it is that, like their band breaks up and they start getting into production and recording and stuff. And, or maybe it's something that while they were recording, they'd sometimes look over like producers' shoulders and kind of, slowly get into it and stuff. But like, no, like right away he was into it, which Jamie might have been the same way. We didn't really talk about it this time as much. We talked about his production and his producing, but we didn't talk so much about like the origins of it. But the first time I had him on last year, and again, I can't remember, but I think he was basically the same way. He was always into that side of it. Like since he was a kid, like he was interested in the part of recording everything and, and working on music and, just fine tuning and tweaking things. He was always into that, which again, I always find that interesting, kind of finding people's backgrounds on that stuff. But it's like, you also can tell who's a producer and stuff, because another one, like when I interviewed Jamie and Jamie and Rory, there's a part like we were talking about bridges, the bridge to a song, and it's like Jamie starts like breaking down for like 5 minutes. He's like breaking down what a bridge is, and I love that. But I'm like, that is a producer. That is someone who knows music inside out. They know how music is structured. They get it. Like that. That's just. Like, it's one thing to have the mind of a musician, but you got to have a whole nother like mindset, I think, to truly be, a producer. That's not just being a musician. Being a musician is part of it, but there's a whole nother side to it, and it's something that Jamie and Rob both definitely have. And Rory does. Rory, he didn't do, he didn't produce the new stereo record, but he's done producing and recording and does some really good stuff. And same with he did produce and put together the Kings of No Hope podcast series that the Stereo just did. And he did I was telling him that it's like such a well-produced, like well put together show. Like, so, like, and I know how long it takes to put things together and interview people and like really produce it and piece together. I'm like, that took him probably as long as it took Jamie to produce that record. I mean, that for as much as he put in, because he wasn't doing, I do long form ones like this where it's, very little editing. I'm not going in here and cutting a whole bunch of stuff where it's like he's putting everything together. He's really putting like a program, almost an audio documentary together, and did such a good job. If you've not listened to those, there's 6 episodes all together, and really, really interesting. I mean, I think whether or not you know the Stereo, because you also learn about him and stuff quite a bit in there, so it's not a bad intro to the band if you've if you're not super familiar with them. But it was great. I learned, I've been a fan for years, but I learned so much from that podcast I never knew about them. So that was a really fun one. And so was that Hidden in Plain View one. Great to have Joe back. I mean, he was really like, I think he was the last interview I had on the show really before the pandemic hit. Like after that, we had the pandemic. Like the pandemic, things weren't shut down yet, but I remember having Ben Jorgensen on after I had Joe Rio on. And at that point, things were looking like it was starting to happen. Because I remember it was funny. I remember Ben Jorgensen was giving the dates for the What to Do When You're Dead tour that they were going on the anniversary tour. And he was kind of like, if these happen, like if they and I think a few shows had maybe been canceled at that point, not everything, but I think some bands had, like you started seeing some things going on where it's like, oh, okay, maybe. And but that was like the first one where like, oh, okay, this might not happen because of COVID, and then it didn't. Then it got postponed until last year. They or actually it might have been this year because they postponed it I think twice. I actually think it might have been earlier this year that they finally got to get out there and do it. But it looked like the shows are great. I sadly never got to make it out, but the shows looked really well attended, and the band sounded really, really good out there. So, no, that was really rad. But anyway, Joe was the last person I had on before, like, really, I think it was getting somewhere of, like, oh, I think, like, we're about to go into lockdown kind of stuff. I think Joe was the very last person. And then just on top of that, just with all the things that have happened the last 2 years, it makes it feel even longer. You know what I mean? I was telling that. It's like, it's been 2 years, but it feels so much longer than 2 years in so many ways. It just doesn't. I mean, yes, it seems like a long time, but it feels way longer than 2. But it was really fun to talk to him and Rob. They have 2 new singles out, and they're both really, really good. Temper and Wildfire, if you've not heard those. I mean, they're just, that band can just pick up right where they left off. They can go away for years, come back. Like, they haven't released anything since 2015, and really, they don't play shows here and there. But same with the Stereo. The Stereo, I mean, look at their new record. Amazing. They haven't put a record out since 2002. They haven't put a record out with Rory since 1999. And they put out some of their best songs on this new album. And same with Hidden Plain View. These new ones are just so, so good. And they're also playing Furnace Fest in September. So it's cool to see them doing a few things. Because that was the other thing. I was wondering that, because like when I did talk to Joe, I think the idea was to release these songs and do some touring and try to be a little active, not a full-time band, but do something with them. And then the pandemic hit, and obviously you couldn't tour and do a lot with them. So, they were holding out, obviously we know that now. But I was kind of wondering that anyway during it, because I was like, I know they wanted to do stuff, so doing it in the pandemic, some bands would release stuff, but I get it, because they kind of wanted to, it wasn't like release it and get forgotten. It was like release it and then do something with it. So it was, it was just great talk to them. Really, I think it was a fun interview. There was a lot of we talked about that. We talked about the history of the band. We got into Rob's production. We got into different things. It was really cool. It was, I don't know. It was fun. I think you'll like that one. That will be out. Actually, that'll also be out this month. I believe that will be the 20th. I think I just gave you the rundown for June more than May. I think I just told you, which actually, yes, that would be true. Monday the 6th. Will be John Doe of X. On Monday, June 13th, we got Tony Scalzo of Fastball. On Monday, June 20th, we got Joe Rio and Rob Freeman of Hidden in Plain View. And then on the 27th, I guess that would be the rundown. That would be the June rundown. God, that'll probably be here. So, now I'm looking at the calendar and it's like 4 weeks away, but really those 4 weeks are probably gonna fly. I'll be here. It's like I always say on these, like, I can't believe it's already this month. Look at I almost went this whole episode without saying it, but there you go. I can't believe it's already the end of May. But my God, we are. And I got some good interviews, and that's not even all of them. I got a couple more that have not been I don't think have aired yet. I'm trying to remember everyone I've even interviewed this month. The other great episode actually of May, the other episode that I didn't get to was Chris and Maddie, Chris of Talk Show Host and Maddie of Cluttered, talking to them about the new Enemy Us split EP. So good. That EP is excellent if you've not heard that. But that was another one, really fun getting to talk to them. Cluttered was not a band I was super aware of beforehand, and now I'm really into them, and Talk Show Host just got into them earlier this year, so it was great to have them on and get to talk to them and talk about the new release, and I don't know, I loved it. I hopefully enjoyed that one too. I'm trying to think what else. Oh man, who else do we have on in May? Do we have anyone else on? I believe that was the show for May. We had Dylan Flynn on. We had Chris and Maddie. We had Jamie and Rory. I think that is everybody. If I'm not, I sure hope it is. I'm looking like a real ass if it's not. But I believe that was everybody that we had on for the month. And yeah, it was really fun. May was again, like I feel like I was running, just doing so much for the show and just for for the radio station and everything. But not bad, like keeping busy, but a good kind of busy. But I definitely have to like keep tabs now, because it's one thing to like do like a weekly interview where it's like I just got to remember, okay, Saturday at 4 or something. But like now I'm doing like 3 or 4 interviews a week. It's like, oh shit, like I got to remember when is when. Really make sure I have all my ducks in a row ahead of time. But it is all good. Another actually a good interview. I didn't do it on the Power Chord Hour, but a really cool one that I got to do that actually, if you wanted to go hear it, it is up on WRFALP.com if you'd like to go listen to this, as well as the WRFA SoundCloud page, so you can easily find it. But the program Arts on Fire that I do on there, I got to talk to Colin Mockery of Whose Line Is It Anyways? I got to talk to him and Assad Mekki, who is a master hypnotist, and they do this really cool show called Hipprov, and it's comedy and hypnosis, and looks really cool. I'm gonna go see them. They're bringing it to Jamestown this Friday. I'm definitely gonna go check that out. But I got to interview them, and it was really fun. Colin was Assad was really funny too. But yeah, Colin, I mean, Whose Line Is It Anyway is always like the funniest dude on there, and I always feel like he's been the highlight of that show. And it was just so funny. He had me laughing the whole time. He was really great to talk to, as well as Assad. He was really fun to talk to as well. Both of them as a team, really fun. I talked to a lot of duos this month. Colin and Assad, Chris and Maddie, Joe and Rob, talking to Rory and Jamie. I think not almost, but a good chunk of the people I talked to this month came in duos. We had some duos this month, but those are fun. Those are actually really those are fun because I do. It's not like I've never done them, but I don't do them all the time. But still one of my favorite ones, still Rob Hidd and Heath Saraceno of Midtown, talking to both of them about Save the World, Lose the Girl. That was a really fun duo one. But I enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, if you want to listen to that, just go to WRFALP.com. And if you go listen audio on demand, right on the front page, you should still, if you don't see that, you'll see I think it says audio or audio on demand. And if you just click on more, go through the back catalog, it's like a few days ago. I did the interview Friday and it got posted Saturday night. So, a couple days back worth of content maybe, but it was on Arts on Fire. So you can easily find it on there. And if you go look up WRFA on SoundCloud, you'll also find it there. And honestly, you can listen to weekly interviews I do for Arts on Fire and everything there. But that one specifically, I do a lot of local stuff on there, so it might not always be, of some, a lot of times when I be talking about events going on in Jamestown and stuff. So maybe it's not something as interesting to people listening other places. But I would say this one, no matter if you're going to see Hipprov or not in Jamestown, I think just listening to that was quite funny. If you're a fan of Colin Mockery, it was rad to talk to him. I've never talked to a hypnotist before. It was really rad to talk to Assad, and I've never talked to a I've talked to improv people, Victor DiLorenzo and John Jughead, being the two that come to mind. Maybe I've interviewed others, but those are the ones that definitely on the Power Chord Hour that I've had that both have improv background. But obviously they're also, in famous punk rock bands. But he was the first kind of TV star, kind of improv theater guy that I think I've ever interviewed. Definitely TV star, kind of television star. I think that's the first one really in that realm. You know what's funny too, kind of going off that, when I was interviewing John Doe and I was like telling people about it and like on like the Power Chord Hour social media and stuff, I was like, hey, does anyone have questions for John? Like literally every question I got was about his film career. I know he has a film career, but like I never realized what a big thing it was for people. Like until like I was so surprised. I get all these questions about X and stuff. Like everyone wanted to know about his film career, and we never got to that. I'll be honest. I'll tell you. I mean, I just we were talking for an hour, and it's like I'm talking to John Doe. I want to talk about music. Like I mean, the film thing's great, and it's like I mean, no, I'm not downplaying. I think it's rad, but it's like John Doe is like one of my favorite singers and songwriters. Like that. Like I got to talk music with him. You know what I mean? Like I had plans to talk film and stuff with him, but we're an hour in and we're still talking about music. I'm like, we're just not getting to film. Like we're not an hour in. I'm not gonna go like, oh, so people have questions about Roadhouse. I'm just like, you know, next time I will ask them those, all those film questions. So apologies if you're one of those people who sent me movie questions, but no, you'll not hear me and John Doe talking much about film. I don't know. Maybe there was, I mean, it was an hour. Maybe there was some part that I'm not remembering that we talked a little bit about film or movies or whatever, but nothing really coming to mind yet that yeah, I think we really talked about in that realm. But that's okay. We talked a shit ton of good music and new music and touring and all of that, and so that'll be a good one. So make sure you listen to that. But yeah, that was kind of May. May was very busy with interviews. Ones you've heard, ones you haven't heard yet. That was very much what I was doing all month. And again, honestly, not a bad thing to be busy with. Be like, oh shit, like I gotta talk to John Doe today. Oh, I gotta talk to the Stereo today. Like, you know, like not bad at all. Oh, I got Colin Mockery. Like, gotta talk to him today. Like, yeah, these aren't bad problems to have. So I'm not complaining. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be doing as many. I think I'm taking a break in June, to be honest, because again, I like I just told you, I have all those interviews that I told you about already recorded. So I probably will take a break from interviews at least for a couple weeks, which I say that I'm sure something will fall in my lap or I'll end up hitting someone up. I mean, I already have people I want in July, but I probably won't do those interviews for a couple weeks. I'll probably at least take a couple weeks of, and I ain't really taking off. I'll just do interviews for my job at WRFA. I'll do them for Arts on Fire and stuff. So I mean, I'll still do interviews, but for the Power Chord Hour, I think I can kind of take a break for a couple weeks and just kind of plan for June or for July and August, really the rest of the summer. So I don't know. I mean, I guess also, I mean, if you have recommendations or people you'd like to hear on the show, you know, again, I'm always ears on things like that. powerchordhour@gmail.com. If you would like to hear a certain someone on the show, let me know, and I'll take it in consideration. Maybe we'll make it happen. And actually, it was like how Jamie happened. I gave him a shout out, but my buddy was the one who got us in contact and was kind of like, hey, like, would you like to interview Jamie Wolford? And I'm like, hell yeah, I would. Like, you kidding me? Like, you don't think I want to interview him? Like, can you make that happen? Like, yeah, sure. Like, I definitely want you to do that. So yeah, I mean, again, shout out my buddy Josh Reynolds. I've given him shout outs before for that one, but I always will for getting me connected with Jamie, because that was pretty damn rad. But yeah, that was a good time, and I'm sure I'll continue the good times. I'm gonna take a break and do some hiking the next couple weeks. I had a fun time today. And there is some good, and kayaking. I just kayaked yesterday, and I was using a friend's kayak, but it made me realize I just need to hurry up and buy one, because I've thought about it forever, and I don't know why, because I'm a cheap bastard and other people let me use theirs, but I'm also a 6'5" cheap bastard, and everyone has like these kayaks that are extremely like not made for someone this tall. So I think I just need to like spend a little money, get one that I can like comfortably sit in. And, you know, because I want to kayak. If I'm kayaking, I want to be able to like kayak all day and enjoy it, not be like, oh, I've done this for a couple hours, my back hurts, like I better go back. So I'll be figuring that out. That's why we need sponsors. Again, like if you want to sponsor the show, you know, powerchordhour@gmail.com. And I mean, I don't always have sponsors on here, because again, I'm terrible at being like, hey, like we have. But yeah, if you got something that you're looking to promote or sponsor, hit me up. We'll do it cheap. So if you're a brand, not so much the band thing. I don't know. I've seen a few shows do that. I'm not so into like bands paying so you'll like play their song. But I mean, if you're a brand, let me know. Hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com. We'll promote your stuff. We will get the word out there to our fine, beautiful listeners and let them know about your great product, whatever that may be. Well, I should probably know first. I don't know if it's whatever that may be, but as long as it passes the Anthony filter, then maybe it will be on here. But yeah, it'd be rad to get some more sponsors. I would not be against that, because this show is actually, I gotta pay to host it every month, and it's also very time consuming. My God, 4-hour, I gotta tell you, 4-hour radio show and doing this and all the interviews and all that. Yeah, this is a time consuming show. I enjoy it very much, but fuck, I am busy with this thing. That's why my May rundown is just me. That's just the May rundown. I just talked for an hour about me interviewing people all month. That was that. I don't know that I talked about anything else now. I know I'm looking at the screen here, and we're inching into to about 50 minutes here. And yeah, I think all I've done is talk about all the goddamn interviews I did. But hey, they were fun. They were, again, I'm not complaining. It's all like Colin Mockery and John Doe. That's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty rad. But yeah. So what else? Let's get into new music. Shall we do that? There was some good music that came out in May that we will get into right here, right now. Let you know about. I mean, start off, like I just talked about, talk show host and Cluttered put out a new split EP, Enemy Us. It is both bands covering Enemy You, and they switch singers. So Maddie from Cluttered sings with talk show host. Chris from talk show host sings with Cluttered. It is really, really good. And also either A, reminds you how good Enemy You is, or B, lets you know how good NMU is, and you want to go check them out because of this split. So really, really good stuff there. And if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to my interview from a few weeks ago with Chris and Maddie. And also the Stereo 13, like I talked about, also great guest in the month of May, Jamie and Rory. We talked all about making that record, and it is out now if you're listening pleasure. I love that thing. Seriously, some of the best stuff both those guys have ever done in their careers. I love it. And I don't think it'll take that long for another Stereo record, because they have a lot of songs written that did not make that album. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get another album like, I mean, obviously not. I know this one just came out, but I'm just saying, what I'm saying is I don't think it'll take 10 years to get another, or 20 years really. It won't take another 20 years to get another Stereo record, I don't believe. And With the Punches just put out a new one, Discontent EP. I remember seeing them way back in the day up at Basement Transmissions up in Erie in the original one in like 2012, 2013, I think, somewhere in that realm. It was a long time ago. Our buddies in Hidden in Plain View, their new single Wildfire, I absolutely love that, and next month you can hear us talk all about that with Joe and Rob. The Corpse put out a new one, From Oblivion. The Pulley just put out new one called The Golden Life. I love it. I'm going to play something for you off it here in a second. Really good punk rock record. Pulley doing what Pulley does best, just some classic fast punk rock. Some real good stuff in there. John Doe, Fables in a Foreign Land. Like I said, I cannot say enough good things about that one. Should definitely go listen to that. That whole record, really, really good. And I'll be talking to him next week all about it right here on the show. Cathedral Ceilings put out a new one, Summer of Misguided Dynamite. One Armed Joey put out a new one, another really good, just fun, like pop punk record, Happiness to Me. 3LH put out an excellent one. I think I played Shadow on here. I played it on the radio show, and I think I played it on a rundown a few months ago. But they're actually, I think, on the same one that I played John Doe, if I'm not mistaken. So like March, I think. March or April. But 3LH have a new one, Silver Dream Road, out now. Cliffdiver just put out a new one, Exercise Your Demons, on Side 1 Dummy Records. And I'll play something off that for you here in a minute. The Interrupters have a new single, Anything Was Better. They got a new record. Actually, I don't know if they have a new record. I thought they did, and I think I looked, and I can't remember if they're just putting out a few singles or if they have a new album coming out in a couple months. But be on the lookout for that. They might have one. I just cannot remember off the top of my head. Pew 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 put out a new one, Open Bar. Got a new single from Joyce Manor, Don't Try. Second single off 40 Ounces to Fresno. That'll be out very soon, and I'm very excited for that one. The Bruce Lee Band with a new album, One Step Forward, Two Steps Back. Red City Radio with a live album live at the Gothic Theater. New one, first time in a while, from Codename Rocky. Their new EP called Blueprint. The OCs put out a really good new song. It is Funeral Solution, new single from them. And we got one from Terminal Dogma. It is First Degree. It is their new single off their upcoming EP, which will be out very soon. And we'll kick it off with this one right now. So here is a new one from Terminal Dogma, which actually our buddy Stephen Bradley, or really Steve Kravick, a.k.a. Stephen Bradley, first guest we had on the podcast actually 2 years ago, or almost 3 years ago. Damn, he plays drums on this one. Really good stuff right here. So here's Terminal Dogma with First Degree right here on the May rundown of the Power Chord Hour podcast. Right here on the May 2022 rundown of the Power Chord Hour podcast. That was Pulley with You'll Be Lonely Someday off their new record, The Golden Life. Before that was Cliffdiver with New Vegas Bomb, the opener off their new album, Exercise Your Demons, out now on Side One Dummy Records. And that one right there also features Jur from Ska 2 Network and We Are the Union. And opening up that block of music was Terminal Dogma with First Degree, the first single off their upcoming EP. And that does feature friend of the show, past guest of the show, Steve Kravick on drums on that one, and be on the lookout for some more great music from that band. And I got some music news for you, and then that will be it for this episode. I know we are about, with the music and everything, I think we're like an hour in now. So yeah, we'll keep this short, and then get you on to whatever you're doing next, whatever podcast you're listening to next, or whatever you are doing. But some good news, Riot Fest has been announced for 2022, and they have quite the lineup this year. I got to say, really good one, though. It's not like Riot Fest ever really has a bad lineup, but it is huge. But I'll give you a few of like a rundown of some of my personal ones that I think I'm pretty stoked on the most. Alkaline Trio, Descendants, Jeff Rosenstock, Less Than Jake, Ice Cube, Sincere Engineer, Lucky Boys Confusion, the original Misfits, they'll be playing Walk Among Us front to back, Bauhaus, Sunny Day Real Estate, they are getting back together, they'll be playing that, the Menzingers, they'll be playing On the Impossible Past front to back there, and I will get more on them playing that record front to back later on in news. You got Fear there, Mannequin Pussy, Jimmy Eat World, Midtown, that is one of their reunion shows, Real Friends, the Bomb Pops, the Juliana Theory, Cliffdiver, who you just heard here a second ago. They're all playing Riot Fest this year, as well as tons and tons of more bands. That is going to be going on Friday, September 16th, Saturday, September 17th, and Sunday, September 18th in Chicago. And the show will be returning to Douglas Park with 5 stages, and as always, should be a good time. That is, as far as modern day, like yearly festivals go, that is still Riot Fest, I think, still kind of takes reign as far as like, punk festivals and stuff. There's Fest, there's Punk Rock Bowling, there's Riot Fest, including without Warped Tour nowadays. You have festivals that are still actually going. Riot Fest being one of the biggest ones. It's kind of funny too. I was looking at it because you see so many more festivals, I feel like, popping up as of the last few years, and you realize I truly think it's because of the loss of Warped Tour, because you didn't see so many festivals popping up. Obviously there are other ones, but like I really truly feel like more festival, like summer fests of like, within the scene, the punk, pop punk, emo, ska, whatever, all within that realm. There's so many more festivals that are popping up. Not even like traveling festivals, but just without Warped Tour, I think there's more room to go do a fest in this city and then maybe go do one in this city. And another thing, I'll be talking more about that in a second, with a festival that is popping up this year, which is really, really dope, a really good one. But and again, like nothing against it, but you just see them, like Punk and Drublick would definitely actually be one that does fall more in that Warped Tour, like a touring festival. And yeah, I just feel like you see more of those because of or after Warped was gone. Obviously Riot Fest being there long before that, so Riot Fest ain't jumping on any opportunities. They were there long before. And again, like just such a great festival to also see throughout the years really, really grow. You got to think about those first couple years of Riot Fest. It really was just a traditional like punk rock show, or festival, like, not a bit like big, but not as big as it is now, like by far not as big as it is now. And definitely, the acts and stuff that they get, look at the Misfits reunited there. well, I was going to say a few years ago, but now I think that was 2016 they did. So it's been more like 6 years. So I guess it wasn't just a couple years ago. But so many great reunions done there. Obviously Jawbreaker, replacements. I mean, they have them like every year. They have a good. They tend to have a good like reunion band that kind of comes out to play. This year, I mean, Yellow Card is also playing. That's not. I don't know though that anyone's having like a reunion. You know what I mean? Like their premiere debut reunion show there. I don't know that that's happening this year. But I mean, Yellow Card's getting back together. Sunny Day Real Estate's getting back together. Midtown's getting back together. So there's going to be some bands that you haven't seen in a while that'll be playing that. So that should be cool. I mean, I don't have tickets. But there's always a chance I end up in Chicago in September for that. It is I don't know, it's a great festival. It's something too. I feel like if you listen to this show, I mean, you probably can find enough bands that would make it worth your while to go check that out. And another great piece of music news, like I mentioned a second ago about the Menzingers, they are doing a 10th anniversary tour for my favorite Menzingers record, their best one in my opinion, On the Impossible Past. And that's going to be a really good tour. They're going to be hitting the road with Touche Amore and Screaming Females, playing all over the country, playing in Cleveland, Detroit, Asbury Park, New York City, Baltimore, Charlotte, Richmond, San Francisco, Sacramento, Fort Collins, New Orleans, all over. More and more shows way past that, and that's kind of going on. Actually, it's like a fall/winter tour, kind of starting, kind of like a soft start through September and October, playing Riot Fest and the Fest, and then it really starts out like in early November there, and goes right through December. And who knows? I mean, there's still time. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a little international touring off that record. I feel like at least, you know what I mean? Like a Canadian run or something, I would think they do. But I'm really excited for that. I mean, that record is amazing. I mean, it's just, I feel like it's a gold standard for Menzingers records. I mean, like After the Party seems like they grabbed a lot of fans off that album, but they did it a few times because On the Impossible Past, they really kind of grabbed. I feel like they really kind of got like a push within the scene on that record and really kind of started like I don't know, not serious, but that album I feel like did a lot for the band. And then After the Party came through, and I think that really pushed them into like them playing theaters and things like that. I mean, even when I saw them before not on the Impossible Past, but when I saw them before After the Party, and then on the After the Party tour, and after that, they definitely played much larger places. But I think this album is so special. I think On the Impossible Past is like another signifier. You know what I mean? Like if you look at like, I guess like milestones, I think this record is definitely one of them. And I would love to hear it front to back. I've heard most of the songs on the album live. I feel like they're always pretty good at that. They play a good amount of that album live. I'm not sure what songs I haven't heard. Probably Freedom Bridge. I don't think I've ever heard them play that one live. And I'm sure a couple others, but like overall, the Menzingers are always really good at like, I feel like playing what you want to hear, like setlist wise. Like I never really leave too bummed out. You know what I mean? I mentioned it when I had Dylan Flynn on earlier, in May when we were talking about how I met him at the Menzingers show and how they played Irish Goodbyes on his bass, and I'm like that. Like I never expected them to play that song. I was not, I was not guessing something like that. Same with The Shakes. The Shakes is another one of my favorite Menzingers songs, and I've heard them play that live. Like two songs I never really, or actually, you know what? I take that back. I don't think they played The Shakes. They played Kate is Great, their Bouncing Souls cover off that 7-inch. I actually don't think they played The Shakes. I totally take that back, but my God, would I love to see them play The Shakes live, because that is another, just like Irish Goodbyes. And I don't know if it's because they're like, you know what I mean? Like they're not on studio albums. They're kind of like more obscure songs or what, but I think those are like some of their best songs. So maybe they'll throw, like that's the show. Go see them play On the Impossible Past front to back. And maybe we'll throw those in. That would be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, they are playing, as far as near me, that Cleveland show. They're playing Punk and Drublick, which will be cool. But I hope they have enough time to play the record, because that's always, I will say that's the one bum thing that kind of sucks when you go to a festival and bands are like doing, if they're on like a album tour. I mean, if it's advertised, like Riot Fest advertised a bunch of bands playing albums front to back. And like, they're going to play the albums front to back, but like I've been to some festivals where bands had to condense it. Like they played most of the album. Like the set time was not long enough to do the entire thing. You got to think with a festival, you get like 30 minutes, but hopefully they can play the whole album on that one, because you never want to go here. You never want to be like, we're going to play the whole album minus like 2 tracks, like that's like, oh, wait a second. You know what? You know who did that? I saw the starting line. Oh man, it was almost 10 years ago, or it was 10 years ago. Yeah, it was, because Say It Like You Mean It was turning 10, I should say. And they did a Say It Like You Mean It tour, and they played the whole album. But then they did, I think they played the whole album, but then they did like a second run after where they played like most of it, like almost a selections of. So like they played, I don't know if Say It Like You Mean It has 12 tracks, and it does have something around that. They played like 10. They kept off, which I was kind of sad, because Saddest Girl Story is one of my favorite starting line songs. They didn't play that one. And I don't think they played The Ride. I think that was the other one they didn't play. I think there were like 2 songs, which I was kind of bummed, because those are also those are 2 ones that I really, really love. And they didn't play them, which I was kind of like, I mean, I can't remember. Again, it was like 10 years ago. I don't remember if it was advertised like playing a selection of, or it was like defined as we're playing this front to back. But they definitely didn't play it front to back. They played the other 10 songs on that album scattered throughout the set, and skipped the other 2 songs, sadly. I know they played it at other shows, but again, by the time they got to the like Pittsburgh date, it was like a second run. It was kind of like, we'll play most of Say It Like You Mean It. We won't play all of it, but we'll play most of it for you. But hey, I mean, I guess I can't complain. It was still neat to hear all those songs and see the starting line. But no, I'm looking forward to that Menzingers tour. That should be a really good time. And I mean, such an amazing record. That to me is like a modern classic. Like if we're talking some of the best records of the 2010s, I mean, that's in my top 5. And it might even be in my top 3 if I really had to think about it. So yeah, I'm excited for that, and also kind of feel old, because even though I didn't get into the Menzingers a whole lot when that record came out, but I knew of them, and I liked a couple of songs. I liked them enough. Obviously not enough to like go buy that record when it came out, but I do remember it coming out and then listening to it. Like I guess it would have been 3, which even that, my God, I guess it was only like 3 years old when I heard it, because I got into them. I really got into the Menzingers around Rented World. They were touring off Rented World when I really got into the band. I liked a couple songs before, but that's when I was like, oh shit, this band's really good, and went and saw them live and then fell in love. But I guess that was 3 years after, because that was 2015. So yeah, On the Impossible Past was 3 years old when I realized what a fucking masterpiece it was. But my God, I've been listening to that album for 3 years. I mean, 7 years. That is like, those are old man moments for me where I go, fuck, I am old. I go, I can't believe that album came out that long ago. I was only 19. I was a damn teen when that came out. Now I'm 29, dude. That'll be my new, which is fitting for the Menzingers. I'll have to remember that. Like, every time that album turns another decade old, I'm on the cusp of another decade of my life. So I was 19 when that album came out. Now I'm 29. And then it'll be 20 and I'll be 39, and then it'll be 30 and I'll be 49. And I think you can do the math here. I think you can see where this is going. But anyways, I got one more piece of music news for you. I'm talking all tours, which I mean, I feel like for the May rundown, as we're getting into the summer and festival season and everything, what better time to talk about this? But I have another festival for you, and really, really great lineup. This is amazing, but like I was mentioning earlier, like you see some new tours popping up, and this is excellent. Hawthorne Heights just announced their own tour, or not own tour, their own festival, but it is for Lovers Fest, and there's going to be 3 of them. They're going to be doing it in Kansas on August 27th, in Denver on August 28th, and in Cincinnati on September 10th. And, I mean, these are some great lineups. Hawthorne Heights playing all 3 of them. On the Kansas date, you got The Wonder Years, Laura Jane Grace, Thursday, Story of the Year, Emery, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Real Friends, Thick, Old News, a whole bunch more. Colorado, you got The Wonder Years, Thursday, Story of the Year. Then again, you got Hawthorne Heights, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, My Body Sings Electric, and a few more there. And Ohio has the real good one, which I'm stoked for. This is the closest to me, and I will definitely be going to this. Descendants, and I will say, actually, not all bands have been announced for Ohio, so there's even more, but Descendants are on that, Bayside, Census Fail, Story of the Year, The Wonder Years, Hawthorne Heights, Knuckle Puck, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Emery, Apple, Bad Luck, Night Beast, The Dopamines, Crimson, Mint, Green, Dead Bundy, Better Anyway, and again, they got more coming for that one, so that is going to be, I mean, all three of those are really good, but the Ohio one, I mean, Hawthorne Heights, they gotta do it up for that one. I know they're a Dayton band, but that Cincinnati, Ohio show is kind of like a hometown one for them, so I mean, that's going to be so good, and they're bringing Descendants right to my backyard, which I thank them for that. I mean, it is such a great festival that they're putting on. I think it's so rad they're doing it. And, like, I love it because it's very much them. Knowing those dudes, like, I know they all love the Descendants. That's a band that I've, like, bonded over with all the guys in that band. And, I know something like that is so huge for them. And also just all these other bands that they've toured with through the years or are fans of. I mean, like, with Laura Jane Grace, like, I remember JT talking up White Crosses when that came up, when that album came out. And, same with the Wonder Years, actually. Like, funny enough, I didn't discover the Wonder Years through Hawthorne Heights, but JT Woodruff, their lead singer, I've talked about 100 times on here, but like he has turned me on to so many bands, and one of the ones he did was the Wonder Years because I had heard of them, but never really. I can't remember if I hadn't checked them out or all I heard was their old stuff where it was kind of more easy core, and at the time it wasn't my thing. But like I remember when the Upsides came out, and he was talking it up, so I went and checked it out, and I mean. The Upsides really, when that album came out, and I still, the Wonder Years are great. It's great to see them as big as they are. I've fallen off with them a little more in recent years. I'm not, I just don't follow them as much as I used to, and nothing against them. And I play them on the show and stuff. But like the Upsides when that came out, I mean, was just huge for me. And again, like I remember like those dudes in Hawthorne Heights, very, talking up, the Wonder Years. And again, like with Against Me, with the White Crosses, and just all these other bands who it's like they've always just been a band who one genuinely loves music and a shit ton of different music. I mean, all those guys you can talk to them; they're all into. There's things they can all agree on, but there's things that like one dude likes this, maybe the others don't like this, or two of them like that. Like they're always good to talk music because of that. But it's cool to see them put together a festival because again, it's like it's the mixture of. Tour mates and, contemporaries, mixed along with bands who I know they love and, look up to and everything. I mean, I know Descendants is a huge one for them as well. I mean, you can look back at like old Hawthorne Heights videos and see, I know JT used to wear, cause it was in their DVD. I can't remember what it's called anymore, but their music DVD they did years ago. But I remember JT rocking a Descendants hoodie in that. And I'm just stoked for that. I love that band, and it's great to see them do a festival. Like, if a band's going to do a festival, I want it to be a band like Hawthorne Heights because those dudes have good taste. Plus, I got to tell you, I'm stoked for a lot of bands on those, but if you are going to any of those shows and you've never seen Story of the Year, you got to see them live. Even if you're not a fan of Story of the Year, you got to see them live. They are legit one of those bands who just, the live show's insane. They really, and sometimes I forget it because I've seen them live, but it's been years. I haven't seen them live since like 2013, but that band is insane. Just go to YouTube and look up some footage. Those guys put on the craziest show, like just the energy of it. Like, and it was so cool because I remember seeing them in like 2013 on Warped Tour. And again, they're not old dudes, but they were, they're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Page Avenue, and they definitely weren't the young band on the tour. But those dudes were putting to shame all other bands playing. Bands who, who normally have these great, they're full of energy, this and that. Not if you watch Story of the Year. They fucking destroyed any other band that play. And that's for any of them. Like, they fucking destroy any like show or tour that they're on. I mean, they are just totally amazing. So you gotta catch out, a bunch of bands on those. But I mean, no matter what date you go to on that, if you're going, go watch Story of the Year. It's insane how good they are. You'll enjoy it. So I mean, it's been so long since I've seen them, so I'm very excited that I get to see them. And the Dopamines, like I've never seen the Dopamines live, and I've wanted to, and they don't play a whole lot these days. So I'm really stoked to see the Dopamines. Night Beast, I've not seen Night Beast since that was just their lead singer Nick Testa. And I think he had a iPod on stage with him that he was using to play the backing, play his backing band on. So I'm gonna be stoked to see Night Beast finally full band, and a bunch of other great bands on there that I'm very excited for. But I think that's so rad they got to do the Is for Lovers Festival, and I hope it's a thing they continue doing. They've done the Dayton Is for Lovers tour, or not. I keep saying tour. Dayton Is for Lovers Festival in Dayton for I don't even know how many years now. So I mean they they know what they're doing with booking shit. Like, and I know how even outside of that they all have they have experience in booking shows and shit. Even going way back in the day. So again, like a very fitting band to do a festival like that, who have background in doing them as well. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. I mean, I hope to go to Riot Fest this year, but I'm definitely going to Is for Lovers Fest up in Cincinnati, and maybe while I'm there, go see my buddy Dave, who we've had on here before. Shout out 19 Cent Zine, and in our last excursion at Skatopia. But Descendant, actually, funny enough, I'm saying that Descendants is our band. We met through Descendants, so hopefully me and my boy are at that show, because that should be a really good one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Menzingers tour as well. I gotta see them play that record front to back. But that is going to be it. That is the May 2022 rundown of the Power Chord Hour podcast. If you would, please go follow us online. We are at Power Chord Hour on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find us everywhere you get your podcasts. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this. It really does help a lot. I really appreciate that. If you like to hear the radio show, we got new radio shows for you every Friday night, 8 to midnight Eastern on 107.9 WRFA. Great station right here in Jamestown, New York. Been hosting the show for 6 years now. We do that every Friday night, so check it out. I got hours of punk and alternative for you. I play all the bands that I talk about on here. You just heard me talk about tons of bands for an hour. Now listen to me play them on the radio show. I have a new one for you this Friday. And we do a theme to kick off each month, and the theme this month for June is going to be short and sweet songs. I'm playing songs that clock in under 2 minutes this Friday. So I have like over 100 songs, I believe. I don't have it in front of me. I think I hit 100 songs on the playlist, because they're under 2 minutes. We have 4 hours, and all songs are under 2 minutes on this one. So, and they're not all, and here's the thing, and I kind of mixed it up. They're not all fast punk songs. There are slow songs on there that just happen to be under 2 minutes. I really mixed it up on this one, so I'm stoked for that. So check it out if you would. And powerchordhour@gmail.com is where you can get a hold of me. And yeah, that is going to be it for the May 2022 rundown. Make sure you tune back in next week. I'm talking to a legend. John Doe of X is going to be right here on the Power Chord Hour. I can't even tell you how amazed and stoked I am. I cannot wait for you all to hear that. Tune back in next Monday for that. And until then, for the Power Chord Hour podcast, I'm Anthony Merchant. Thank you so much for listening.